I would love to start on the theme of innovation. At this conference, we'll be talking about disruption, and certainly you're an entrepreneur. You've got that in your blood. This is where you started. You were creating an organization where there was none, where there wasn't the revenues or even the customers. Could you talk about, in a few layman's terms perhaps, about how it is to be an entrepreneur to scale a business quickly as you have?
So we are a rare combination of Mark, wherein we are all professionals, but supported by a large capital provider. And that has helped us to build this business where it is. Because we are predominantly in financial services business, it is presumed that financial services business doesn't need innovation, doesn't need disruption. It is all about capital and all about numbers. But the fact is that the way the global financial services industry is moving, if you're not nimble and if you're not innovative, you cannot survive. So I don't know so much about whether disruption is required or not, probably less in financial services. You don't want disruption to happen, but definitely you want innovations to happen. Because the only way you can provide services to customer in a more transparent way is by innovating in terms of how you operationally be more excellent every day. So it's not a one-day event. It is not something which you can do just for one period of time. It is the everyday, how do you innovate yourself to be more nimble and more transparent and more closer to your customer. What makes you lead the business?
For the leaders who are coming along this journey very rapidly with you right now, what is it that you've learned about making it feel welcome to take those extra steps or maybe think outside of the box in an industry where, as you say, you want to provide a great sense of security, but to differentiate yourself, you have to continue to innovate. How do you really make that possible for your leaders?
The global financial services industry in different parts of the world is very, very different. Most of the leader of financial services industry for last post-global financial crisis actually are not innovating. They're only trying to survive themselves in some or other way. But a market like India, which is very large, very diversified, the only way to reach out to your customer and be effective is to inculcate a culture of people being able to figure out how do they innovate their services and reach out to their customer at the last mile. If you know it, India as a country, 50% of Indian population still is unbanked, which means they don't even have basic banking as a service. The only way you can reach out to them by using technology and using innovative services to become a mass player into the marketplace. So we as an organization from day one, the three things. One, among many other organizations, because we have been a late entrant, we are fairly young, which means that our capacity to adapt and innovate is far greater and higher. Our view is that most of the established financial services players, just because they have been there for a very long period of time, they are more towards solving their existing problem than thinking about how they look at future. Wherein we as a young company just look at future and how do we scale from where we are. So the base premise of our growth and scale is how do we every day innovate in our different services. We deal with insurance, we deal with lending, we deal with retail customer, we deal with large institutions. And in every form and shape, you have to, in order for you to be more competitive, you have to figure out better ways to deliver service.
The whole process of delivering better service in a very competitive market where you have well-established long-term players, as you said, you're the new guys on the block. You're drawing out an opportunity to make yourself different from the rest. What is it that customers are looking for when so many are coming to banking for the first time? And what have you learned from the existing customer base who've decided to come your direction?
Trust and transparency. I think that there are two factors in financial services industry which completely lacks. You go any part of the world, customers don't trust their service provider when it comes to financial services, and there is lack of transparency. The only way you can do that, you have to digitize every portion of your activity so that you cannot withhold information at your choice. It is the customer who, whatever he wants, he should be able to draw from you. And that only will build trust in future. Any large player in financial services industry you look at, customers don't trust it, and that's why they don't grow.
So you've been the new player on the block, so you've had the advantage over your competitors. One day you're going to be one of those big established brands. How do you keep the innovation rolling? How do you connect with the customer in a way that doesn't allow you to slip into the same sort of framework that perhaps your competitors have?
Yeah, I think so. It's all about building a culture where an innovation or a disruptive technology is not for entry into the marketplace. It is because of your existence. If it's like asking whether Google any day would stop innovating. They exist because they innovate every day. The day they will stop, they will no longer be a Google. So it's very similar to that. Once you have built a culture, and when people on the ground know that they have to be nimble, they have to be newer, and they have to do it all the time, irrespective of your size, you will continue to do that. So it's all about building that culture and not using innovation as your entry point, but using it as your method of being in sustenance and continue to grow is, I think, so what differentiate. It's hard thing to execute, but once you have built that culture, it would last for very long.
If you were to give some advice to another 20-something executive who's on his or her way up the ladder, what would be a few things that you would give as advice that you wish you knew when you were starting this journey that is clear in your mind from your experience today?
I think so. One should avoid the fear of failure. I think so. Most of the people stop growing because once they become slightly successful, they don't want to lose the success itself. So the fear of failure after achieving the initial success is which drags you dramatically back towards a backward flow. So if one has to succeed, one has to take risk. It has to be calibrated. More you are bigger in size, but somebody who is starting a business afresh, I would say, continue taking same amount of risk which you were taking when you were young as a company. Don't stop that, because innovation and disruption come with some amount of risk, because you are doing something which nobody else have done it before, and that would have its element of risk. But that's fine, as long as you're not hurting anybody.